This video is on the objective use the sum and difference formula for tangent. This is number 2. Alright, so the second video on a question related to this objective. So let's take a look at the question. Now they're asking us to just compute the exact value. Right, that means don't punch it in a calculator, don't round any decimal places or anything like that. Of the tangent of 105 degrees. Now they have written 105 degrees as 135 degrees minus 30 degrees. All right, this is a multiple of 45 and this is 30 degrees, right? So these are special angles. Remember, any multiple of 30 degrees or 45 degrees or 60 degrees, those were special angles that you should know, by heart, the value of the tangent and sine and cosine, all that. All right. So if you want to see more about this, how they're doing things, click on more instruction, look at their videos, their examples, their notes. Hopefully that's help you. So what we're using here is the tangent of a difference of two angles. Now let me refresh your memory, show you what the sum and difference formulas for tangent were. Alright, so remember, the tangent of a sum of two angles, alpha plus beta, was this fraction. In the numerator you had tangent alpha plus tangent beta divided by, and then 1 minus the product of tangent alpha and tangent beta. And the same thing for the difference, but the signs change. Pluses becomes minus and minuses become pluses. The tangent of the difference of two angles, alpha minus beta, is the tangent of alpha minus the tangent of beta divided by 1 plus the tangent of alpha times the tangent of beta. And we're going to use that one, right? Because they asked us to find, they asked us to find the tangent of 105 degrees. Now again, I know this isn't the way they wrote it. They wrote it this way, as the tangent of 135 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay, so in my little formula on the previous page, this 135 degrees is like the angle alpha, and then this 30 degrees is like the angle beta. So the tangent of this 105 degrees, 135 minus 30, again, there's a numerator and denominator. The tangent of a difference, the numerator is kind of like if you didn't know what you were doing and just distributed. Even though it's not distributing, you'd have the tangent of 135 degrees minus the tangent of 30 degrees in the numerator. Then all that divided by 1 plus, and then the product of these tangents, right? So the tangent of a 135 degree angle multiplied by the tangent of a 30 degree angle. And these, again, 30 degrees and 135 degrees, right? If you think back to your unit circle and stuff, right? These are angles that are special. You should know what the values of these tangents are without having to look them up. Remember that now 135 degrees, if you were to draw that in standard position, right, that would end in quadrant 2. So the tangent should be a negative number. And the reference angle would be 45 degrees. Remember, the tangent of 45 degrees is 1. So the tangent of 135 degrees would be negative 1. So the tangent of 135 degrees is negative 1. Minus, now the tangent of 30 degrees. Now, if you don't remember that one, you should at least remember the sine and cosine of 30. Remember, the sine of 30 degrees was a half. And the cosine of 30 degrees was square root of 3 over 2. And when you divide those, sine divided by cosine, you get 1 divided by the square root of 3, or, rationalizing, that was the square root of 3 divided by 3. The tangent of 30 degrees was a third of the square root of 3. Okay, so there's the numerator. Then the denominator is 1 plus, and then the product of these two values, again, remember, the tangent of 135 is negative 1, times the tangent of 30 degrees is the square root of 3 divided by 3. And then we'll simplify a bit. Now the numerator is still negative 1 minus, the square root of 3 over 3. And the denominator now is 1 plus, negative. So 1 minus, and then the product of these two things would just be square root of 3 over 3 again. Now this is all well and good. This is perfectly fine. I'd just rather not type in a complex fraction. So I'm going to do something to get rid of these little denominators of 3. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and this denominator here by 3. And distribute the 3 down here, distribute the 3 up here to these two terms. And that'll get rid of those denominators of 3. So numerator times 3 is negative 3 minus the square root of 3. And denominator times 3 is positive 3 minus the square root of 3. And I guess I could enter this. I mean, this is fine. But remember, you might also have seen that you can, this has a radical in the denominator, and typically that's not, desirable. So I don't know how familiar this will look to you from like an algebra class, but you multiply the numerator and denominator here by the conjugate of the denominator, 3 plus the square root of 3, and do the same to the numerator. Right, 3 plus the square root of 3. Then we're going to do a lot of foiling. So you got negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, and then minus 3 root 3 minus another 3 root 3 would be minus 6 root 3 in the numerator, and then negative root 3 times positive root 3 would be negative 3. So the numerator, I'm going to have negative 12 minus 6 root 3 when I'm done. And then when you multiply conjugates, you get a difference of squares. 3 squared is 9 minus, and then minus 3. All right. So up top I have negative 12 minus 6 root 3 divided by 6. And then you divide each of these terms up top by 6. Negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. And then the negative 6 root 3 over 6 would be negative square root of 3. And this is a lot simpler looking than that fraction there. So after all that, the tangent of a 105 degree angle, if you rewrite this as the difference of two special angles and then go through the difference formula like this, the tangent of a 105 degree angle is this value here, negative 2 minus the square root of 3. And I'm going to verify that with a calculator. And I know this is how we're going to enter it, right? They said enter the exact form, the exact value. But I'm going to verify this with a calculator. It doesn't hurt to check your work. All right, so I'm in degrees here. So let's make sure I'm in degree mode. All right. And I'm going to enter the tangent of 105 degrees, which is the same as 135 minus 30. And I'm getting negative 3.7320 blah blah blah. Now let me enter what I circled here, negative 2 minus the square root of 3. And it's the exact same value. Fantastic. So this all worked out. All right. Now, I mean, like I said, you could have just entered this fraction too, right? Let's the numerator have in parentheses, negative 3 minus the square root of 3. And then divided by, and then in the denominator put in parentheses 3 minus the square root of 3. And it'll be the same value. It should be if I did everything correctly. I mean, you could probably just enter that. You see how it's the same value. But I'm going to enter the much simpler version, after multiplying the numerator and denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. Alright, so back on the website, what I'm going to enter is negative 2 minus the square root of 3 is the tangent of 135 degrees minus 30 degrees, the tangent of 105 degrees. And again, they go through the same formula. Yeah, see, they did that thing where they multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate and simplify. So I think they're expecting you to rationalize the denominator here. So I'd recommend doing it. I mean, you could always try entering the non-rationalized version and see if they take it. But if they say try again, then rationalize the denominator. All right, so hopefully watching me go through this one will help you when you go through problems related to this objective on your own. And thank you very much for watching.